Peace and blessings, family. My name is Kelvin Johnson. I am here with Dr. Henry Carter, and I am here with my brother Lenge.
Yeah,
Kalenga. We just wanted to open the dialogue. We're here from America, obviously, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, and we just wanted to open the dialogue with our brothers here from Africa to discuss where we can bridge the gaps of opportunity, break down some walls of mistrust, and just open the floor. I don't want this to be too scripted. I just want to have an open conversation and dialogue with my brother to discuss a few points, and we'll take it from there. Again, my name is Kelvin Johnson, and this is Dr. Henry Carter. I'll let him tell a little bit about himself, a little bit about myself. Born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. Proximity is Atlanta. Joined the military around 22. Got an opportunity to travel the world. I first traveled here to Dubai in 2004, and been coming here ever since. Given that my background in military contracting afforded me the opportunity to work in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Qatar for many, many years. I just recently retired, and one of my aims is to focus on obviously traveling, but at the same time networking with some of our brothers and sisters abroad. So that's a little bit about myself. I'll turn it over to Dr. Carter.
Greetings, family. I'm Dr. Carter. Of course, I'm from the United States. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States, and currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. My background is that I'm an educator and entrepreneur. My doctorate is in business administration, but I have a rich history of cultivating and developing individuals. My mission in life is to bridge the gap between black people in America and black people in Africa, and how can we mutually benefit from our education, our exposure, and our experiences to allow each and every one of us to have a tremendous amount of growth in good health, prosperity, and unity. The world being a global economy, we must begin to understand how we can share products and services with one another and build our global community. And so this conversation is a great opportunity for us to close the time gap that existed from the time that we as blacks in America were historically taken away from the continent of Africa and brought over to America, and out of our 400 years of servitude in that country, have begun the process of reconnecting back to the origin from which we come. And so I'm excited to have this conversation to speak, because in addition to being an educator and entrepreneur, I'm a father and a grandfather. And so I am not just looking at myself, but I'm looking at the legacy that I will leave behind for my children, my grandchildren, and their children, and how one day we are one family and we are not a divided family on two continents. And so I am excited to be here with my dear brothers today to have this conversation, and hopefully you all who are viewing this conversation we begin to start conversation amongst yourself and other individuals in the United States, and we can begin to grow together. So I'm so excited to be here today.
Brother Lenge.
Yes, brother. My name is Lenge Kalenga. I'm from the Republic Democratic of Congo. Born and raised in Africa. Never been in the United States. Never been in Europe, and I've visited only the Middle East that I'm familiar with. And my background is I'm a fitness instructor, dance and choreographer, and I'm a promoter in a food and beverage in the African community in Dubai. My reason being here is that my brother next to me, we have a lot of internal conversation for our African community that we never have chances to discuss because of many reasons. Distance, assumptions, mistrust, propaganda, and so on. I want personally to experience what people always say about us. We don't trust each other. We don't work together. And for me, I've challenged this all my life, and that's never been the case. I've worked a lot of projects with African American without any problem. But when I hear these rumors and I'm saying, who are these people we don't work together? Who says so? When you go to the source, everything is just propaganda. And for me to be on this table to have this conversation with my brother Kelvin and Dr. Henry is to say, we don't trust each other when and where and how. Ask yourself question, did you ever do 3 projects with a brother that did not work? Or you just heard from neighbors, TV, or it's just rumors? I want us to have a personal testimony. Then just, I heard, we never worked together. You never even try one project with your fellow brother to say it did not work. Try and see why it did not work and learn from it. Because the history of human race and business taught us a lot, that you don't start a business on day one and succeed. Every business starts with a struggle. It's not because you start a business with a brother that you are struggling, it doesn't mean you're not working together, you can never work together. So that's a story for another one. My mentor can tell how can we go about working together within the challenge and achieving the noble purpose of our community, the African community. I've been raised not speaking English, speaking fluently French. For me to understand that majority of my people that have been taken away from my continent, they are English speaking, and I dream one day to speak English so that I can be able to communicate with them in the language that I understand best. And I'm trying with the best of my ability to communicate with my brother today. For me, English is not just a language. For me, English is a history of how can I trace my people and how can I communicate with my people, because I speak other language in Africa that they cannot speak. So I'm using this language to communicate with my people all over the world, from Caribbean to Jamaica, from Trinidad to Tobago. The whole community, we are a big community that needs to start challenging the myth. For me, it's a myth.
Yes.
It's a myth.
Absolutely.
If you had a bad experience, the experience that you had with a brother in the business, it's happening in any business with any race.
Let me pick up on that point, brother. And I'll start with Dr. Henry. What has been your experience working with Africans in the United States? And then I'll let you talk about what your experience has been working with African Americans here in the Middle East.
You know, Atlanta is a very unique city in the United States because it is a hub where there's a lot of brothers and sisters from Africa, various countries in Africa live in Atlanta. So I work with brothers and sisters from Senegal. I work with brothers and sisters from Ghana and other countries in Africa. And so my relationships with them and understanding with them is probably a little bit more clear than the average person. To give an example, right now I work with 2 individual brothers from Ghana, one in Ho Ghana and another one in Accra, Ghana, and they paint pictures, they paint portraits. We met each other through social media. We developed a relationship over the last 5 years, doing video conferences, talking to one another. they had a tremendous skill in being able to paint pictures, but they didn't have the point to or the ability to get their paintings out to the world. And so I said, I know there are people here who appreciate the talents that you have. Let us form a partnership. You provide the paintings, I get you customers, send you money back so that you can take care of your family, and I expose people over here in America to your awesome talent. And that relationship has gotten stronger and stronger over the last 3 or 4 years. And so that's one of the relationships that I've had in regards to our brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa in various countries, to break down that myth that we can't do business with one another. I think that we have a golden opportunity to see what talents and skills that exist, and how do we expose people in America, regardless of race, and not just only black people in America, but other races in America, to what our African brothers and sisters have to offer. And so that relationship has been extremely productive in regards to our relationship in Africa. And I think that we have even greater more opportunity to tap into other things. His brother was sharing his background in fitness and entertainment and dance and things of that nature. We have more brothers and sisters in America now who are becoming more conscious and more aware of their culture, and want to have an authentic instruction and mentorship on entertainment coming from Africa. He can provide that to them, and they can provide for him the opportunity to be exposed to a greater, broader audience, not just in one section of the United States, but all over the United States, as many other African dance troupes and have done in the past years. And so I think we just have a golden opportunity to bridge that gap.
Awesome. Really?
Yeah. In the same content, we'll say that we need to challenge the myth. That's one thing. Secondly, we need to bridge our opportunity. For instance, I would say the case of the country that I'm coming from, which is the Republic Democratic of Congo. We have a lot of materials, beside the resources, which is another story for another day. Culturally, we have one of the most popular music that paved the Afrobeat for over 50 years, which is some people call it, we call it in Congo rumba. Some places they get it makossa, some places they call it different names depending how people interpret that. So in that field, we have a lot of people that have untapped material in Africa that never been exposed to the world culturally, music, food, sound. And today, as you can see, the Afrobeat is taking over, which I'm calling it the new crude oil of Nigeria, because Nigeria fell with the oil to give enough to every Nigerian, but at least the young, by their own talent, they have provided themselves an income, they open a business, and they give a lot of young men jobs as the director of video in that Afrobeat. So for me, Afrobeat is a new crude oil of Africa.
Yes, I love that.
So because we're taking over the music, because us as a young man in Africa, we decide to take what is us and sell to the world and benefit from it. And thanks to the social media, who allow people today to produce their own product and put it on the market and let the public decide. So you can bridge to come to Africa, to Congo or any African country, find people who has unexposed talent in terms of music, food, ability to run faster than Usain Bolt. I always laugh, I say Usain Bolt is an average African man. There's just nobody who is a recruiter of 100-meter runner came to all over Africa. When you come through, brother, you're gonna get people faster than Ferrari, promise you. So what I'm trying to say, in any field, your expertise as African American, come to the motherland, you can bridge, you can empower others of your knowledge that we need. Because remember, you have been taken away. When you come back, you bring something extra. You add value to us. We welcome you. There's a lot of organizations that can welcome you. Just make sure on your agenda you have a plan to try one African country just for a visit. Look around, you'll find something that you can do. You can network with the people. You can create partners. You can create opportunity, and that is very, very important. I'm into to say everything that you hear about Africa is a myth until yourself you go explore Africa and conclude if really you can ever work with your people because you tried, not because somebody else tell a story. Somebody else's story is not your story. Create your own story with your own people in the continent.
Right. And to piggyback off of that point there, brother, let's talk a little bit about the conditions in the Congo or in West Africa in general, socially and economically. What do you think the conditions are right now, and what are the challenges that you see immediately that needs to be addressed?
Sure. The challenge that we have is a challenge that everyone is aware of. The challenge we got, bad leadership.
Bad leadership.
When we talk about bad leadership, that mean economically also we have it affects economically, because bad leadership, that means economy, politics, and everything is not good, and that means the country is not run properly. But that is the government. How can we work with a broken government and achieve our self-realization as a people? It's possible. That's why we need to be independent. Everyone needs to open his own business. Everyone needs to make sure create partners outside of the country, independently of the government. Remember, one of great leaders says in America, don't wait for what America will do for you. What can you do for America? So we can never wait for our bad leaders, what they can do for us, but what can we do for ourselves is the most important. That means that's why we are in this network. We don't want to use any excuse of our bad leaders. We don't want to use any excuses that we don't work with one another. We don't want to use our excuse that we have a mistrust. All this we need to challenge them as a believer.
Now, you said something very interesting when you mentioned about the young generation using Afrobeat through social media to expose the world to their talent. Do you think that social media has helped to dispel some of the myth about Africa, because Africans have had the opportunity to directly communicate with other countries, individuals from other countries through social media? Has social media been instrumental in bridging the gap?
That's a great point.
I think the greatest invention that I would say the white men have done that have helped us is the social media.
Yes.
Today, there's an unlimited number of bloggers, African American, who go into Africa and expose that was not exposed yesterday. Challenging the history of Africa given by the white man perspective. And today we are selling our history on our perspective. Our history, our rhetoric, and then our input. I think it's the most exciting time to be alive. I really wish our ancestors could have seen what we see. Unfortunately, they had a little to work on. We have more to work on.
Absolutely.
We are open. We have travel. We have no excuse not to not united. The only excuse we have is our own stupidity. And for me, before we leave this table, I would say to you guys, I said, brother, where you are now sitting, if you recognize yourself as Africans and you never travel to Africa, you need to consider yourself that you owe yourself to yourself. When a man don't know where he's from, his roots, is a man without history. But we have a history.
Yes.
Your continent still exists. You can do the DNA test. You can trace where your people are, and you can identify them. I think this is the greatest thing that you have been given to be alive and see that. So, brother and sister, wake up, because very soon it will be too late. We would like you to come, to be the first people to come and invest in your continent. If you take longer, Africa is more full of Chinese, European, and others. Come claim what is yours. And the only way you can claim what is yours, you need to come to the continent and look for opportunity.
Yes.
That's the most important.
I like to expand on that a little bit, and I'm gonna take this to Dr. Henry. We all know in America, our problems have been transparent over the years through Hollywood, the projection of gangster rap, we're drug dealers, all of these misconceptions, all of these stereotypes that have existed over the years that we also have to break down when we travel abroad. Talk a little bit about the social conditions of blacks in America and this opportunity that social media has presented, giving us a window into Africa and us being able to kind of knock down those myths and stereotypes that exist about our brothers and sisters abroad, and the young people that now have that mindset of, I now want to challenge what was previously said about our brothers. I want to go see for myself what Africa looks like. I want to go experience the world. Let's talk a little bit about the social mindset of blacks in America today.
Well, the greatest weapon that our former slave masters on the world has done is to keep black people around the world disunited with false narratives, and to give them the impression that they are inferior, when in truth we are the original people.
Right on.
We are the first that walk on this planet. We are the strongest, and as Brother Kalenga has shared, we are the fastest, we are the smartest, we are the best. But if I show you through movies that you are inferior and you accept that, then you begin to limit yourself in your growth, because you think that somebody else is greater than you. And so the weapon that they have used is the false narrative through movies and music to say that you're nothing but a gangster, you're nothing but a drug dealer, you're nothing but a killer, you're not a person who has the mindset to do international business and trade. And so that narrative have kept us in a box in America and have kept us focused on material things than to think about the bigger picture. For instance, we're here in Dubai. What makes Dubai fascinating to me is not the fancy cars, not the palaces, not the material things, but before 1960, this area was a desert. In the last 55 years, they went from being a desert to an international city. Now, if they are able to do that in 50 years, if we're able to come together and rise above the false narrative that we are inferior, imagine what we could do on the continent of Africa in the next 50 years. Then Wakanda won't be something just mentioned in the Black Panther. Wakanda would be a legitimate city in Africa, because we would have built a modern city in the next 50 years like they have done over here in Dubai. This is not an exception to the rule. This is the rule when you have opportunity, when you have resources, when you have unity, when you have education, when you have exposure. They're showing you what can be done when you have those elements together. What brother is sharing with you is that, look here, you have the opportunity in the next 50 years that your children right now, who are babies, in the next 50 years, can own real estate in multiple countries that look like Dubai if we were to get out of the box right now. And so I think all around the world we have been put into this box that we are only less than. And when they show us, they only show us as entertainers. They don't show us sitting at the table like this having conversation. They don't show us sitting at the table as entrepreneurs and business people. They only want to talk sports to us and entertainment to us because they think we don't have the intellectual prowess. But we have to go back and say this, that before you came out of the caves of Europe, we had great civilizations.
Yes, we did.
Before you could understand how to communicate, we had universities. Before you understood what that yellow piece of rock was, we had it around our neck, and we had gold from Mansa Musa thousands of years before you even knew what to do with it. And if the world wants to get back balance as it was in the beginning, they should do it right now. And if the black man and woman was and is the original people and help build the civilization of the world, then it is in the best interest of the world to communicate with the black man and woman of the world and say, what can we do? But first, it is up to black people to start saying, we're going to do business with each other. In America, we suffer from the same disunity around the world with black people. We don't spend our own money in our own community like we do. Let me give you a little data. Black people in America spend less than 1% of their money in their own community and 99% of their money in other people's community. Listen to me. Less than 1% of their own money in their community and 99% of their money in other communities. Other communities look better than their community because they took the money outside of their community. Now let's flip that script. What if we spent 99% of our money amongst ourselves and 1% outside of our community? Then we wouldn't have poverty. We wouldn't have crime. We wouldn't have depression in our community. We'll have the real life Wakanda all over the world, and we all will be sharing in the prosperity based off our education, exposure, and experiences.
Wow. To pivot off that, brother, you made a great point. That 99% of our revenue or our wealth we're spending in other communities. And I'd like to expand on that and talk about why that is. And to get to the bottom of that, we have to talk about our family construct.
Yeah.
We got to take this back to the Genesis. Brother Link, I'm going to bring this one to you.
Sure, brother.
Talk a little bit about the family structure in Africa, and then I'll let Dr. Henry talk about the family structure as it currently exists in America for blacks. I think that we have been suffering over the years, obviously, since slavery, about how the family construct should be constructed, where the man is the head of the household, where the man is a leader, a teacher, a provider. That has broken down over the years, and it's almost flipped, where we see more women now being empowered in America through this quote-unquote Me Too movement. That can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. First, I'd like you to talk about how the family construct in Africa traditionally and how it is today.
It's a very interesting reality because we have external influence, which again, like we were saying, the social media is as good and as bad. We have the media reality where people in the continent of Africa live in the duality. Because today, through the phone, through the Hollywood movies, people learn other way of running families. But we have also internal reality where this structure of the family have been remaining for many years the same. What does that mean? When I go home, I face two realities. I face the reality of traditional family, which is father as a provider. I grew up in that family. My mom never worked. My father worked the whole his life. That's the community that I come from. And to our generation, we facing the new reality where a woman get education, get a better position, start getting salary. When they walk away, it's not they don't want to be with the woman, they want to go with the woman lesser challenging.
Absolutely.
To feel I'm the man.
Yes.
These are just the dynamics within the power shift. And there's a brother who accepts that my woman, my sister, she's independent,
Yes.
she's educated,
Yes.
she's financially stable, and that gives you the leverage to decide and to make decision in the house. Nothing wrong about that, but it's a very difficult to accept.
It is.
So it's a challenge of acceptance in a shift within the power.
How do men begin to accept that? Because what you're talking about, the traditional family dynamic, has
Yes.
existed for thousands and thousands of years.
Yes.
It's only been in the last 20 years or so where you're starting to see that dynamic shift with the power. Women are working more, they're more educated.
Yes.
So men haven't had the opportunity, right, to accept this and internalize. And I think we're still trying to figure our way out. But it's a new dynamic, it's a new challenge for us. So how do you see it, Dr. Henry?
I think we can learn a lot from watching lions, right? Let's look at the lion, right? The lioness hunts. You know, the lioness protects.
Yes.
The lioness will kill a lion if they believe that the lion is not strong enough to protect the pride against another lion, right? But that lion understands, that if he gets out of place, them lioness would jump him. If he represents weakness, they would kill him. They have no problem with sharing power. When we understand, as brothers share, the balance of sharing power, then we can grow faster, right? The lion understands his place. That if somebody knocks at that door right now, then I should be the first to go to that door and deal with the threat at that door.
Yes.
But I understand that my woman got my back, right? But if I tell her to go to the door first, she gonna say, I have no need for you. And she's gonna get rid of me because she got to fight the battle together. We learned in Islam that if Prophet Muhammad didn't have a whole lot of money, he didn't have the wealth. He was financed by a woman who saw he had a different strength that brought a balance. He had a certain clarity and vision. And one thing I found out, that a woman has no problem with supporting a man who has a vision. She has no problem with supporting a man who has courage to stand up and do the things that other men. She would say, look here, I got $1 billion, but I'm gonna let you lead because I like your vision.
Absolutely.
I know that if I procreate with you, I won't have a weak child. I'm gonna have a child that's gonna be strong just like the lioness. The lioness will only procreate with a strong lion. That's why two lions got to fight each other.
Absolutely.
To see who's gonna be Mufasa and who's gonna be Scar. And so Mufasa gets the best lioness because his offspring is gonna create a legacy of strength. And that's the same thing that a woman does now. If a woman looks and says, she looks at men and says, which one of these men are the best? The courage, the vision. He may not have a whole lot of money, but I know if I procreate with him, we got a better chance to survive as a species. And so that's the balance. We have to break out of the male chauvinist. We have to break out of the toxic masculinity. That telling a woman she should be seen and not heard. A wise man understands that he listens to the wisdom of a woman. Because our first teacher is our mothers. Right? It is mothers that teach us. It's mothers that comfort us. It's mothers, and then we get up and say, don't tell me nothing when she's been telling us everything. So sisters have come now and said, look here, we're going to balance the scale now. And we're going to not just grow outside of each other, we're going to grow with each other.
Yes, sir.
And we can grow faster with each other. You see, the little secret that lies in Islam, that people don't understand, that the wealth of Islam is owned by women. Because when the husbands die, the wealth is left to the women, but they created a society that made the woman subservient so that she can't use her wealth to balance power. But now, as our dear brother shared, the internet have shown them Oh, so this is how we balance power, right? We now are seeing something different in Dubai, right? We're seeing women having a little bit more balance and power, a little bit more liberty, and because of that, look at the fast growth of Dubai. And so other Islamic countries are saying, and other conservative Christian countries are saying, we can learn something from this equality of women and not this subservient model of women. So, but in America, here's the difference. Brother said we still have some duality. In America, they're weaponizing women to look at men as lesser. They're saying that the black man in America is not even worthy for you to look at. They all are scars. You ain't got no Mufasas.
Right.
And that's what they're telling you. They all scars.
Right on.
And so the black woman in America is not looking, many of them, now, not all of them. Not all of them. Now, I don't want you to give, I want to paint a broad picture. But some of them are beginning to say, oh, you're lesser than. I don't even want a black man.
Yes.
I want a white man.
I'm gonna date outside my
I'm gonna
race.
date outside because the black man is scars and I see the white man is Mufasa. He's been tricked.
Yes.
As Brother Malcolm X said, you've been bamboozled, hoodwinked, ran astray, run amok.
Preach,
You
brother.
know, while he's telling you that you're not good enough for the black man, he's telling the black man you ain't good enough for the black woman, and both of them are stealing our women and men.
Wow.
And so we have to come to understand our strength and our unity is to love and respect one another. Me and my wife, in a couple of weeks, have been married 27 years.
Right on.
We have a balance
Yes.
in power
Yes.
in the family. We both educated. We both got vision. We both love each other. And she understands my role and I understand her role, and we balance that thing out. And so we growing together because we want to leave something behind for our children. So if we want to grow quickly, we need to understand to respect one another and value what each other brings to the table, because just like the lion has the back of the lioness, the black man has the back of the black woman. She loves us even in our madness, as long as we respect her and realize her greatness and hold her at a level higher than the world see her. She is not just to be paraded in front of us half naked. She's more than breast and butt, but she's mind and spirit as well.
Yes. I told you I was going to have something special between these two brothers. I told you I was going to have something special between these two brothers. Now, to circle back, we talked about the pros.
Yes.
Okay? When you talk about the empowerment of women in our community.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about how that has been a detriment. Because, let's be honest, women working outside of the household and a man working outside of the household leaves the children on their own. And the children now are being raised by the internet, right? TikTok.
Nanny.
Exactly. So let's talk about
housemaid.
Yes, let's talk about the cons of that. How do we keep that family construct and also allow for that empowerment of both the man and the woman, particularly the women? Because if they are pursuing careers, opportunities, there's very, very little time for procreation, right? Yes. So now you see that conflict, because the man nature is to procreate, right? But if I have a mate out here who's more interested in empowerment, how do we balance that?
It's a quite interesting subject, because I had a chance to be in South Africa, and then I found, like, first of all, there were a lot of single mothers, and I looked into it, what was the reason, and those one also, they are successful career-wise together, as you explained. They're also away most of the time because they have to provide.
Yes.
So how in this modernized, this society where it become more materialistic and expensive, how can people keep the unity of the family, give a good legacy that come from the parent at the same time get also the support financially when the parents are not anymore.
Right.
Are you going to spend time with your children with the less and consider the legacy is the culture, the education, the bonding that you have with them versus the future? Or will you give them less moral or give them less of you and leave materialistic legacy to them? It's another conflict.
That's a conflict. Yes.
We take example the most successful people in the world that spend time, everyone, I can't mention names so that I will create another topic of debate. Everyone knows people that are very successful that they don't even know their own children, but they're just sponsors.
Yes.
They're just providers.
Yes.
So we need to look into, do you want to build a man or you want to build a materialistic machine consumption? My brother just said, less than 1% we're spending in our community. 99% we're spending out. What are we spending out? We need to look at that equation.
Yes.
Because when we were less materialistic, we had a strong sense of family.
Preach.
Bonding.
Yes.
Stay together, eat together, have dinner together, have lunch together,
Absolutely.
sleeping in the same house.
Absolutely.
And today it's become difficult because the world becomes so materialistic that we also become part of that materialism,
Yes.
that we decide to be away and provide from the distance. So it's another conflict. How can you balance the two?
You know, a couple of things I think that needs to understand. We need to understand the power of the village again. You see, we have become individuals instead of the village.
This is true.
And if we depend upon the beloved village, then we can continue to have that balance, right? There, as brother mentioned, in South Africa, you have single mothers. In America, we have the same thing. I put on Facebook the other day that there's a lot of mothers out there who became career women who don't have children. Why don't you not go and be a godmother to the children of a single mother?
Yes.
Why not be a godfather to the father who's out there working?
Yes.
Fill the gap. The term uncle in Africa used to have a greater meaning than it has now in America. The uncle is the other father. Right? When father was not there, uncle would kick in, and vice versa. There was a balance. Aunt filled in when mother was not there. We need to value our senior citizens.
Yes.
We put our senior citizens away in nursing homes when they should be inside of our home, giving the children the values that they gave us.
Absolutely.
So why are we putting them in the corner when they should be center stage? So that we can go out there and earn the money, but now we got somebody with the same value system in the home raising our children to give them balance. That's what we need to do, is become more village focused than individual focused. And that's the beauty that's happening now. I made sacrifices in America. I could have gone all over America and made hundreds and thousands of dollars, but I decided to stay in Atlanta because my parents are deceased. My mother died when I was 22. I'm 54 years old. My father died when I was 2 years old. So my grandparents are dead, right, on my mother and father's side. So I said I wanted my children to have a sense of village.
Yes.
And so I stayed in Atlanta because my wife's parents lived there, right? And I wanted my children to know who their grandfather and grandmother was, right? And to create that village. And so as me and my wife went out to develop money, the grandparents filled in.
Yes, sir.
You see?
Yes, sir.
And so it created the balance. My family eats every night together. We eat every night together. But we as individuals have to sacrifice some of our time.
Yes, sir.
You see, I don't go out to clubs. I'm not hanging out with the fellas all the time. I spend 90% of my time with family, 10% of my time with fellas.
Yes, sir.
It's faith, family, finance, friends.
Yeah.
Faith, family, finance, friends.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's how we do it. But we be putting friends over family, finance over family,
Yeah.
all of this over faith, and then saying we imbalance. No, your equation, your pyramid is upside down.
Yes, sir.
You see? So we have to start saying what is good for the family.
Yes, sir.
And so if I have to say to my friends, hey man, I can't hang out with the brothers today because it's movie night at home.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I know that that's going to be a long-term investment in the stability of the family. But if my wife say I got to hang out with my friends and I got to hang out with her friends and my friend, then we bring the grandparents in. So let's become more strengthening the village and use all the talent in the village instead of think we have to do this by ourselves.
That's beautiful.
Well, I love this.
That's beautiful.
This is amazing, brother. It's really, really very insightful what you just say, and I feel really lucky to be part of this table. Honestly, to come back to what you were saying is exactly where we came from as a people.
Exactly.
So we need to go back to where we came from, how we were living 100 years.
Yes.
Keep some of that as a heritage.
Yes.
And give that to our children as a legacy, so we maintain the sense of unity in a village form, while we still again in this modern society that we cannot avoid, but we can work within.
Yes.
So brother, we're going to, again, to your question, it was about how African American Hollywood branded you. My first memory that I remember about African America, it's a Biggie Small and Tupac.
Speak on it, brother. I want to hear
Imagine. As the gangster rap,
Yes.
which I grew up with.
Yes.
Without even knowing what they were saying, because that time I couldn't speak even one word of English. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Today I'm like this. Is this what this means?
Yes.
Was I shouting this? You see, so the way the African American have been branded by the Hollywood in those years, because today we got a wonderful material that challenged that, which I'm proud of my brother, doing very well. It was us in Africa, everything has to do with rap, gangsterism.
Yes.
And the word that I can't mention today, the N word.
Yes.
When you meet a brother, the first thing he said to greet the brother, Dr. Henry, you just got M-I-N.
Yes.
And you don't know that is an offense to people because that's not the way African American call each other in America.
No.
That's from my point I'm happy because I've never been in America, I've never been in Europe.
Yes.
It's good that I'm coming raw, untouched and untapped from the mother continent to communicate with my people without being there, but based on what the Hollywood have sold to us for many years. Look at how beautiful the brother are intellectually.
Absolutely.
I learned things that I wouldn't believe. I thought maybe we'll be here sharing some lyrics of gangster rapping. We're not doing that. We're doing intellectual. So that's not the only reality that African American is a society with diverse people, well-educated people, business people, and family people, and people with the moral in America, like any other society. And today, that's the reason we're having this dialogue, because the first step to healing process, it's a confession. We are having a confession. We're having a conversation. We don't want to sugarcoat. We are unapologetic black men sitting on the table talking about own issues to the deepest, because we want to heal our wound as a society, as a community, so we can move forward. If we don't talk about our past, how can we fix the present so that we can correct the future? This kind of conversation is not only for us. Create your own community online. Connect with the brother on the planet. Use those social media, application, Zoom, botting, whatever
Yes.
you can call it, connect, have a conversation.
Yes, please.
It's
please.
from that conversation. You don't need also to come up, oh, I don't have the money to get a passport in America. The ticket is very expensive. The COVID-19 protocol is stopping it. These are excuses we have been using for 100 years.
Yes.
We allow these intruders come to us, take our people while we're sitting and watching doing that.
Yes.
I cannot allow that anymore in my lifetime.
Yes.
The mission we are doing is to let you know, don't be complice of our enemies.
Yes.
By not taking actions on things you know that are wrong. Don't use any excuses, because you are a survivor. You have survived 400 years.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know that you are the strongest genes in the whole world?
Yes, sir.
From the continent. How many people dies on the way? You arrive to America. You survive, and you still surviving today, and you don't realize that you are the strongest, the fittest genes in the whole world.
Yes.
So now use your strength
Yes.
Yes.
to reconnect to your continent, to contribute to your continent, and to contribute to your own family. Start from your family. A man who can look after his family is a man who can look after a community, is a man who can look after a country.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Brother, you said, you mentioned the word, we are survivors.
Yes, brother.
One of the things that I have been preaching, particularly over the last 2 years to my people, is we have to stop embracing this idea of victimhood. We know what we've been through in America. We know the history of slavery. You know, we know the history of apartheid. You know, we know the struggles of civil rights. Okay? We've known for years what we've gone through, and we know what we face. But we have to stop this wallowing in victimhood and start embracing survival. So there's two ways to look at trauma. You can say, I'm a survivor, or you can say I'm a victim. You're both. The difference is a survivor is also a victim, but it's one that has overcome and is in the process of continuing to overcome. So don't just wallow in victimhood, people. Use your trauma, use your whatever you've gone through to propel you towards progression and towards being a survivor. Embrace being a survivor, because that means you also have another opportunity. Because there are some victims that didn't make it, right?
Yeah,
they're dead.
Yeah.
But you are a victim that has also become a survivor, so that means you have an opportunity to rewrite that next chapter. So keep that in mind, young people. Do you want to respond to what brother said?
Well, I think that, you know, we can learn that a diamond is formed from being under extreme pressure.
Yes, sir.
And the greater the pressure, the greater the diamond. And we have seen that those who have been under the greatest pressure comes out and have the greatest growth.
Absolutely.
When you form metal, you have to put metal in the fire. You beat the metal, then you cool it down.
Yes, sir.
You put it back in the fire again. It gets beaten again,
Yes, sir.
and you cool it down. But the more you put it in the fire, it gets beaten and cooled down. The end product is something beautiful.
Yes, sir.
It's when we go through things, learn from those things, and grow from those things, we become better. And so all of it is a part of the process for us to become great. Everything you have gone through and going through is preparing you for something that's going to take you to the next level.
Absolutely.
You see? And so I've grown to appreciate fatherhood because I didn't have a father. And so I said, I'm going to be the father that I wish that my father could have been. Right? So when you're missing something, you appreciate it more. You know, when you don't have an abundance of food, you appreciate food.
Yes, you do.
You can taste the butter. You can taste the spice. You can taste the seasoning because you have an appreciation of it. When I was growing up, wasn't no such thing as no leftovers. Because my mother cooked according to what she had.
Yes, sir.
We didn't waste what we didn't have. So your struggle is preparing you for greatness. But if you get stuck, as Brother Kelvin said, in the victimization, then you're doing a great injustice to other future generations. My children are the benefactors of me overcoming the struggles in my life.
Sir.
And you know, sometimes we spoil them too much. You know, this indoors generation. Huh? They got the video games and the television and the iPhones, and you know, they think that they're entitled to everything, you know, and I have to let them understand. You know, even with my restaurant, I had them to come and do some stuff at the restaurant. They were like, "Oh, Daddy, we got to go to the restaurant." And I said, "How do you think the lights stay on?"
Yes, sir.
I said, "Where do you think that game come from? Where do you think this television come from? Where did your phone come from?" I said, "It's not. I didn't snap my finger and create magic. I said that this turkey leg kept the light on.
Yes.
This chicken wing
Yes, sir.
bought the watch."
Yes.
So we have to get them to understand that the struggle is a part of their growth, and when we deny our children struggle, we make them weak.
Yeah. Talk about.
And so we need to not just give them everything, we got to make them earn some things, you see? Because we went through it, and I'm afraid if we don't do this, we're going to be the last generation that really understands how to appreciate hard work and work ethic.
Because it builds character.
It builds characters.
It builds character.
Exactly.
And I think the mistake we make as young parents, and I'm guilty of it too, we want to give our children everything we never had, right? We want to spoil our children. But what we fail to give them is all of the things that develop the character, the hard work, the sacrifice, learning what it means to have a door closed in your face, learning what it means to have someone say no to you, and having to forge another path, right? Those things build character. So we are robbing our children of that when we just give them something, and we don't allow them to go work for it, right? So I know I'm kind of getting off cue, but brother, I want to circle back to something you talked about earlier, or we talked about earlier, and that is how Africa views the blacks in America, and talk a little bit about that stereotype, and when was the first time it was broken down to you that quote unquote African Americans are lazy? They don't take advantage of the opportunities that they have in America. We have all these resources available to us, but we're not taking advantage of it. And I say that because I'm gonna give you a quick story. My last assignment in the Air Force was in England. I was stationed at Lakenheath Royal Air Base in England, so we used to go to London a lot. And you know, London has a large population of Jamaicans and Nigerians. So I was having this conversation with this Nigerian, and he just bluntly shared this with me, his views about how he views African Americans, because he was so complimentary of me. He was like, "Man, like you're one of the good ones. Man, I can't believe you're so educated." And, you know, it's almost like he was surprised that I was this articulate. So it really prompted me to ask a question. But what do you really think about blacks then? And what he shared with me was a little raw. It was frustrating, but at the same time, I appreciated his viewpoint, because what it made me realize was that I had to continue to be a better ambassador for my race and my people in America. So everywhere that I go in the world, I'm always mindful that there are other cultures looking at me, and they're judging my people by my actions. So that's a lesson, people. Be an ambassador of your race everywhere you go. Always be on point. But what it made me curious is, why do African Americans or blacks in America have this perception that we are quote unquote lazy?
You see, it's come back again to what I was saying again about propaganda. The first movies in Hollywood produced were always presenting a black man as physically fit but not intellectually fit.
Exactly.
As you know, there's many people that have built Hollywood beyond the camera that never be mentioned. I don't want to go into those topics because we have a lot of topics. Just to say how our input never be exposed, and what they expose is how they want to portray the rest of the world to think about us. And you go many places in the world, I have testimony of friends where the reputation they get is not from the direct contact with the people, but the reputation we get is from the Hollywood production and movie production, how they portray us in those movies in those early years where we did not have opportunity to present our side of our create that zone where people, when they hear us talking, they will understand that there's a lot of misconception, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of assumption, and don't live into somebody else's testimony. Make your own testimony. Experience that. As I repeat again, maybe I'll repeat myself more and more time to say, connect with the people from the continent through social media, create conversation with them, and you have your personal opinion. So to come back to that is that's how some of us, when we watch those early movies, the way they portray the African American woman, some of those movies where she's drug addicted, she's a bitch, she's not talking, articulating politely, she's aggressive to the man. These are the things that we saw, and that's the one that stays in our mind. That's why Doctor was talking about we need to detox our mind. I'm coming back again. We have a first to go in our mind to go to recorrect what have been planted there subconsciously that it become part of us. Do you understand? And that's very important. It's like we have accepted the reality that they have given it to us without our permission. But this is a time for us to present us to the rest of the world through this kind of conversation. To be precise to your question, yes, African American, we got a perception that you are the most opportunistic black man on the planet Earth, and you don't even know how to grab that opportunity. Reason why the African from a continent, African, who goes to America, they give us an idea that they are the most successful. But when I go check it out, they work in the KFC, McDonald's. Then I'm like, what the hell is that success? Few of them that I know today that came from Nigeria become professors and doctors. But the one that I know came from those countries that I'm related in the Congo, the Cameroon, and other one, they just truck drivers who build the houses and then say to us that the African American are lazy. And it's true. That's why you need to go to America, because your brother, they are lazy, they don't even grab the opportunity. But they're not coming, they are professors and doctors. They just go work in McDonald's and KFC. Will you go so far to go to work in McDonald's and KFC? Are you going to risk so much to go to America, to Europe, so you can clean the dish? You can never clean the dish in Africa. So the point I wanted, this is exactly what we know, that they are lazy and this. So we need to go in that stereotype, challenge it with full force. Why? Is because we have to refuse victimization. Our struggle, we know. Our suffering, we know. And our victory, we know how to get it. We have to learn. Dr. Henry said, we need to learn from the country that from sand to the tallest building. That shows possibility. We have to learn from the most divided nation in the world is America, but control the rest of the world.
Isn't that something?
So that means even in this unit, we can still work together. To have different opinion, it's normal. To have contradiction, it's normal. To have conflict, it's part of human reality. But above all, we need to have a common purpose, which is how, as a race, can we work together? You in America, you work in a company where your boss don't like you. You don't like your boss. But you still perform, both of you. Your company is one of the top best in the world, but you know that internally you hate each other. But your company is one of the best
in the world.
In the world. So still, I cannot deny that there will never be misunderstanding, conflict, and whatever, but we can still work together. From the marriage experience, everyone knows. People can be together with everyone with his belief.
Yes.
But can take the family to achieve the greatest unit within misunderstanding or different opinions.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we can be the most diverse people with the different tribe, we the most different in many things. You go to Cairo, to Cape, you can see Africa is a different type of people, language, religion. But that's not an excuse for us to do not unite.
Absolutely.
Don't use your excuse to destroy a continent. Use your excuses as your milestone to build your continent. Whatever you claim by your tongue become. I deny to say we don't work together. I deny that we don't like each other. I will reverse it, because whatever you say become. We have been using our own tongue to curse ourselves without knowing, but keep on repeating what the colonial master wants us to be. Right. And the first victory, we have to change our narrative first, Doctor.
Before you get into your point, I want to talk about those common goals that you spoke about.
Yes, please.
So before, Dr. Henry is a living testimony of that stereotype not being true in America.
Yes.
Self-made man, entrepreneur, mentor, teacher, spiritual guide, you name it. I owe so much of my success to this man right here. Sure. But I want you to also address what brother just said, and then we'll circle back around and we'll talk about those common goals, because
how to bridge.
How to bridge, right. We have these differences, but what should those common goals be? But I'll let you address what he said.
I think what we are going to have to go back to is to have authentic love for one another, right? We have to learn to love and fall back in love with one another. Africans, African Americans, black people in America, black people in Africa are going to have to start learning to love one another. And that authentic love transcends all propaganda. I don't love you because of what I see. I love you because I know who you are, right? And so I love my brother. I love my brother from Africa. I love my brother from America because I know who we are as a people. Yes, I know we are the genesis of the world. And so when I see each other, we can embrace each other. And when we legitimately love one another, we learn to trust one another, right? And so I don't look at our differences. You know, my family is different. In America, you got some of my family members are Christians, some of my family members are Muslims, some of my family members don't have no religion at all. You know, some of my family members are righteous, and some of my family members are unrighteous, some of them are gangsters, some of them are preachers, but we all love each other. When we have family reunion, we all sit down at the table with one another and we love one another. Love is what's going to have to be that glue that brings us together again, that I legitimately love you. I want for my brother and sister that which I want for myself. I don't want to see my brother and sister in Africa hungry, because I don't want to be hungry. So what do I need to do to make sure that their children go to bed at night feeling good, just like I want my children to go to bed at night feeling good? That is what love does. So we become the global community again, that I love one another. We in Islam, we greet people by saying Assalamu alaikum.
Peace be upon you.
Before we start anything, we say, I want peace for you, you want peace for me. We should say more. How you say in French? What is the word love in French?
L'amour.
L'amour. We should, instead of saying assalamu alaikum, we should say l'amour. L'amour. I love you. You love me. Then when we start off with love, everything else, every conversation after that changes, because we started off on the basis of love. And that's how we should say amour. L'amour. L'amour, brother. L'amour. Hey, then we start talking.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. So let's talk about those goals. I'll start with you, Dr. Henry. What do you think some of those common goals should be when we talk about how we bridge these differences that we have,
After
but
the conversation.
at the same time we have common goals.
Yes.
In the United States, yes, we all are different, but the common goal may be world domination.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So what do you think those common
Well,
goals
yeah, I think you hit something earlier, and I think the common goal, regardless of where you are, whatever ethnic group you come from, we all want safety.
Safety.
We all want our children to be able to have a place, a house to live in. They want food to eat and clothes on their back. And we all want our children to have a better life than what we have. We all share those common goals, right? And since we all want the human family to have a quality of life, then let's discuss how we can create a balance based on our talents and what we have to bring to one another. And that's the common nucleus. How can I help your family to get what they need, and you can help my family to get what I need, and we find out if there are products or services that we can exchange with one another, and then we begin to join with one another. That is the nucleus. We all want a good place to live, food to eat, clothes on our backs, safety, and we want our family to have better than what we had, and that's what we need to build the basis off of. I think there's a lot to learn from the Congo, Cameroon. There's a lot to learn from Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, all over, and we look like we were looking at what Cameroon has to offer in regards to product. Weaving the craftsmanship of weaving baskets in such a way that creates a product that people admire. Well, in America, African Americans pay good money for weave baskets. They like weave baskets. In a part of America, there's a state called South Carolina, right? Off the coast of South Carolina, there are some people called the Gullah people, right? The Gullah people, there's a little island off of South Carolina where the culture of the Gullah people is in direct mirroring what goes on in Africa. They have the same culture, the same food, the same craftsmanship of weaving baskets. And so the women on the Gullah Island in South Carolina are getting paid thousands of dollars to weave baskets. Well, if they are a mirror of Africa, then the value of a basket in Africa is greater than a value of a basket weaved in America. Yes. So if I begin to look at the brothers and sisters in Cameroon that weave baskets, then I can say, ship me some baskets. Yes, sir. And I can sell them here and send you money back. Where you would have made, let's say, one of your money, I can give you thousands for that same, and now the quality of the food, the quality of the clothing, the quality of the house, the quality of the safety is better because we exchange it. If brother said, I got some Afrobeats, and he go to Beyonce and say, forget about all of those producers in America, they don't have these beats. And Beyonce said, oh, I never heard that. Jay-Z says, I didn't hear that before. Now they introduce a new beat on their records that nobody else has. It's done already, by the way. It's been done. Already. When Beyonce did her whole African thing and had African... So that's what we have to begin to exchange. Yes. Like he says, that Usain Bolt is not the fastest black man in the world. Yes. If he come to Africa, but this brother is in physical training. Yes. He can say, I can show your son or your daughter how to run just as fast as Hussein. Now, how does that benefit? Well, in America, if you can run fast, you get a scholarship. Yes. So now, because he can teach your daughter and son how to run fast, they can go to college for free. Yes. See the exchange? Yes. We're benefiting one another. Now he's an international physical fitness trainer. You see? That he can sit in front of a video right there from the Congo or from Dubai and teach them how to run fast. And now their child is going to college for free. Instead of spending $100,000 on education, they can now take that $100,000 and invest it back into Africa.
Start his own sports academy.
That's how you do it.
Yes. It's about networking. It's about networking.
Your network increases your net worth. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been a great conversation, and this won't be the end. This will only be like one episode.
Yes.
My goal is to have these sort of dialogues more routinely.
Yes.
So I'm gonna challenge you, brother,
Yes.
to let me know of another
Yes.
brother that's moving and shaking here in Dubai, or could be in the Congo, and we can reach out with your producer and whatever you want to
I think the
present.
second episode we will do it in Dubai. I have somebody else that I would like to introduce to, which is Mr. Williams.
Okay.
He's the president of African UAE Network.
Is this the brother you introduced me to?
Yes.
I definitely want him to meet
so
them to
we have to introduce the bad brother William because we have a community.
Yes.
And the most important and the most surprising when we talk about leadership,
yes.
when the leadership is great, everything is going in harmony.
Yes.
So the great leadership that we have of UAE allow us also to have also a great harmony in terms of organization.
Yes.
Because remember, we say we shall pray for the country that hosts us.
Yes.
Because when that country prosper, we prosper too.
Yes.
So this country will offer us opportunity and offer us a great leadership that we all taking inspiration from and motivation, and we're learning from, so that we can take this great experience of UAE, which are called from sand to the tallest building, to say nothing is impossible. You must shoot for the moon, even when you miss it, you'll be among the stars.
Absolutely.
So we are learning from UAE how we can materialize our vision. How can we walk the talk?
Yes.
How can we organize our ideas in a format that we get the byproduct that is concrete, touchable?
Yes.
We have a lot of speeches in Africa, politicians,
Yes.
projects unfulfilled because we don't have great leader to make it happen.
Yes.
Remember, your imagination is better than knowledge, according to Albert Einstein.
Yes.
So that's what I can say. We want us to grow as a people.
Yes.
I'll introduce to people that I'm a mentor, are doing greater things.
Yes.
We have a community well organized, and then I would like you to meet the team.
Yes.
So that you don't meet one lenge, you can meet 1,000 lenge, so that network,
Absolutely.
you can leverage from it.
Yes.
Thank you, brother.
Thank
it was
you.
a great pleasure
Yes,
to
sir.
meet you.
Yes,
and
sir.
Brother Kevin.
Likewise.
Any
Yes.
closing words from Doctor?
Yeah.
Man, this has been spiritually enriching, intellectually stimulating for us to sit here and have this conversation with one another. And as I said on the onset of this conversation, is that hopefully this would inspire the viewers to have these similar conversations among people that you know from the continent of Africa and America, and we can begin to dispel the myth and bring in more truth and love among one another, and we can grow together as a people and be the benefactors of our work and our talent that we gave around the world. And so thank you, dear brother, for taking time out, and thank you, Brother Kelvin, for bringing us together. And I look forward to more dialogue about how we can grow as a human family. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
I'll just close by saying I'm so grateful that these brothers are here, sharing their experiences, sharing their knowledge on what we can do to bridge that gap. We will have more of these episodes. We will continue to grow. We will continue to build. Until then, love each other. Assalamu alaikum.